Hi, I am Ashley Gatewood, the Communications and Marketing Director at CFRE International. And today I am joined by CFRE Harvey Green, who has held the credential since 2012. In 2020, he was recognized as a Fellow of the Association for Healthcare Philanthropy. Currently, he is Senior Vice President and Chief Development Officer of WellSpan Health in Pennsylvania in the United States. And today we are going to talk a little bit about Harvey's CFRE journey and advice for other people who are looking to get started. So thank you so much for having some time to talk today, Harvey.
Thank you very much, Ashley. It's such a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to our conversation.
Excellent. So first I wanted to ask if you could talk a little bit about what made you decide to become a CFRE and if it was a quick decision or something that you contemplated for a bit of time.
Yes, I'm a fan of lifelong learning. Regardless of where you are, your particular field and or profession, I think it's very important to continue to challenge yourself, to continue to learn. And when I heard about the CFRE certification, I looked at it as an opportunity for me to really expand my horizons as a professional, to continue my ideas around lifelong learning, and to really just up, the level of my professional credentials moving forward as I, seek to continue to stay in the nonprofit sector, specifically fundraising and philanthropy. And for me, obtaining the CFRE was just for me a perfect fit. And folks, my colleagues, they see the CFRE designation, and they always ask me questions around, how do you go about doing that? What type, what does it take to do it? And so for me, it was I would say, planned, thought and or experience, and something that has been very beneficial for me in my career.
Excellent. Well, that's great to hear. And I think especially for fundraising professionals like yourself who are in the healthcare area, healthcare itself is so heavily credentialed with doctors, nurses,
Yes.
pharmacists. When you go into a meeting with all of these people that have many letters after their name and show that they've met the highest standards in their profession, that as a fundraising professional going into those meetings with them, I'm sure that it helps a lot with your own credibility, and people see that you have done the same in your field.
Absolutely. I just moved into my new office today and my placard went up, and there you go. My credentials were right there, and I felt just in alignment with the other caregivers and physicians I work with and looking at their credentials. And so you're absolutely right to that point.
Awesome. And you've been a CFRE for almost 11 years now. And what would you say have been the top 2 or 3 benefits that you have experienced from holding the credential?
Well, one of the requirements of holding a credential is this idea of the learning and educational components, which can come via webinars or conferences and or training sessions. And so for me, having a CFRE credential is a strong reminder that I need to unplug myself, from my immediate environment and office at times and go out and do some learning, coaching and teaching, as well as, going to conferences and trainings about how to continue to grow in this profession, as well as glean best practices from around the country. And so for me, having a CFRE and being able to renew every year has been just of great benefit of really having the opportunity to have the unique educational experiences around, what you would need to maintain your credentials. And so it's been a strong reminder for me, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity and ability to recertify, every few years or so.
Yeah, and that's what I think is so good about having a credential that you have to recertify with, is because it never becomes outdated in the way that a bachelor's degree can, or something like that that's really sort of almost frozen in time. I always think of, I have a master's from 2005 and it's woefully out of date, but if you have a credential, you continue to stay at the forefront.
Absolutely.
So in the past, when you've been on job interviews, how have you talked about the CFRE and how it impacts your skill set? This is something a lot of people wonder. I'm about to go on the job hunt. It's a new year, right? But if I have my CFRE, how do I bring that up organically? What kind of thoughts do you have around that for folks?
Yeah, very interesting. And I can hearken upon my most recent experience with WellSpan Health. And I would have to say, I prominently post, my credentials, not only on my social media accounts like a LinkedIn, but also my resume. And what I'm finding is that, folks actually see those letters and they're like, well, okay, what is that? And I'm finding during my interviews, folks have actually looked up, what that means and come to realize that there are some credentials, in this field, and they read a little bit more about it, and they, in the interviews, you get the questions about, why did you become a CFRE? I read about the commitment it takes, to get the certification. You must have a dedication to the field. So it's a large, credibility builder. Is an expression, about who you are as a person and as a candidate, as a professional, that you're dedicated to your field and that you've taken the extra mile in our steps to really improve your skill set and just represent the very best, in the nonprofit and fundraising sectors, and that you are aware and abiding by, the best practices and ethics that go into this profession and field. And so it really speaks volumes. So a lot of times before you even meet, with a potential employee, when they see those credentials permanently placed, either again on your profile or resume. So it's been immensely helpful for me and any of my colleagues who walk into these discussions with the credentials.
Well, that's fantastic to hear. And what employer doesn't want to hire somebody who has made a formal dedication to earning a globally recognized credential in their field? Excellent point.
Absolutely.
Some employers question whether or not financially covering the CFRE is a good investment for staff. And this is one of the things we hear the most at CFRE is I want to become a CFRE, but with the application fee, I don't know that my employer will help support that. And what would you say to employers who, someone's come to them and said, I want to do this, the application fee is 700 US dollars or 875 US dollars, and the employer's thinking, well, what am I going to get out of this? Is this really worth me putting professional development budget towards?
Absolutely. And I have members of my team who are actually going through the process of wanting to take the test and have gotten the materials. For me now as a leader, decade and a half ago, I was in that position of, okay, how do I politic to get my employer to pay, for this type of certification, and how can they really see the return on investment? And I'm finding, a lot of these conversations throughout the course of my career as a leader and manager, when you're looking at professional development opportunities, everyone is looking for that and to offer their, employees an opportunity to grow and to develop. And obviously, retention of employees is critical, particularly in this economy. And so, for me, as a leader, it's a no-brainer. If I have someone who indicated, Harvey, I would like to really take this exam. Will the organization invest in me? For me, that is a, easy win for me to say, absolutely, let's push this forward. I strongly encourage you, to take this and run with it. And so, but we're in an era where we have tighter budgets. And so it's a balance and reconciliation of, really, looking at, the return on investment at times. But if employers are looking for, ways to easily motivate and just help their employees grow, this is a no-brainer for me. And so I would encourage anyone who hasn't gotten the CFRE and are thinking about, approaching their managers with this, I would say, this is an important certification. And for me, it would indicate not only my dedication to the field, but my dedication to you as an employee. And I want to be able to represent our organization in the highest fashion And I feel strongly that this is one of the certifications that are that's gonna allow me to be able to do that. Would you kindly consider, helping me and partnering with me and me completing the certification? That's how I would approach that as an employee. And then as leaders, we need to be amenable and flexible and be understanding to the needs of our teams. And if we have folks who want to self-initiate learning processes, I think we need to be open, to those possibilities and really have those, candid discussions about, what is possible.
I'm glad you brought up retention because in the last year or two, I've seen so much research out there about Gen Z and millennials really have a baseline expectation that their employer is going to provide professional development and continuing education, and that when employers fall short of that, that there's definitely dissatisfaction at work because people think it sends a message that you don't think I'm worth investing in. And it's
Right.
so important for employers to make sure that their staff know we believe you are worth investing in.
Absolutely.
And my final question today is, now that you've had the CFRE for over a decade, what would you say is your favorite aspect of being a CFRE?
I love to get questions from folks who are really looking to obtain their CFRE. That's the most fun part. What is it all about? And so, is the test hard? Is it hard to get, recertified? And it's a fun conversation and discussion. And it's really, I try to debunk, the magnitude that folks think it might be in the way of the test or recertification, to say, if I did it, really anybody could to be able to do it if you put the time and effort involved. And so I really love, answering those types of questions, entertaining those types of questions. And it's just fun, when I look at, my name on a business card or social media or even my office, it's good to know. And it gives you a strong sense of accomplishment and pride about your profession. It gives you a strong sense of belonging that you're a part of an organization that's looking to really enhance our field in so many ways, not just nationally, but internationally. And so that gives you a strong sense of purpose and pride. And so I really enjoy that. I really enjoy, getting the newsletters from CFRE, being able to, have conversations with my colleagues who are CFREs, and you feel a part of this group of folks who are just truly dedicated and committed to their profession. And, and having this credential is a part of it, is a large part of it. And so it gives me feelings of gratitude every time I think and see CFRE and how I'm a part of that. And I'm going to, forever be a part of it. So that gives me really good feelings.
Well, that's wonderful, Harvey. And it's been great to speak with you today and learn more about how the CFRE has benefited you. And you've given some excellent food for thought as well to employers for why in this new year they should be considering this for staff. So thank you so much for having the time to talk with me today. And I wish you all the best for a wonderful 2023.
Thank you, Ashley. My pleasure. Have a great day.